Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Even If podcast. I'm your host, Kristi Lowe, and I'm so glad you're back with us today. You are going to feel like you've got a new best friend after you listen to today's episode. I have today on the show Kerri Lynne Knappett, who is what I have been referring to as my Canadian sister. Because if I were going to have a sister and she was Canadian, I would pick Kerri Lynne. She's just that kind of a gal, y'all. She is a kindergarten teacher. She's a mom of 4. She's been married to Brian for 23 years. Today is going to be one that's just going to make you smile, friends. Kerri Lynne is hilarious and unpretentious. And between the laughter and the joking around between us is a depth and a love for Jesus that is genuine and it is pure. And we're talking today about the differences between our cultures. Her from Canada, me from West Texas. We talk about the prevalence of religion and church going within the context of our locations. But we also talk about the pressure we place on ourselves as Americans and how we may come from different places, but how important it is for us as believers to link arms and to help spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. So today feels like having a cup of coffee with a good friend. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, pull up a seat, because you are in for a treat today. But before we jump in, have you gotten your free Spotify playlist? Because if you didn't know this, when you go get your free Spotify playlist on the Even If podcast website, you're going to put your email address in there, and then it's going to send you the link to my Spotify playlist of music that I listen to all the time. But the added bonus is that it's also going to sign you up for the weekly Snicky Snack. And I know that every one of us loves a snack. All of us. And you know what's even better? A Snicky Snack. That's what we call them around at our house. But the Snicky Snack is actually just a newsletter. Shh, don't tell anybody, okay? It's just a newsletter. But it's a weekly encouragement. And every week, you'll get a weekly encouragement, just bite-sized encouragement from me to you, and just a way to stay connected in the Word and what's going on around the Even If podcast. All right, friends, I'm going to drop you into the show. Welcome to the podcast this week, my dear friend, Kerri Lynne Knappett. I'm really glad that you are here with us today.
Thank you, Kristi. I'm so stoked to be here with you. I miss you.
I know, I miss you too. I'll tell the listeners, Kerri Lynne and I met at the Speak Up conference in Michigan this past summer, and I told her when I met her, I was like, you gotta come on my show. We were having just this banter back and forth, and it was hilarious, and she was funny, and I think we just kind of fed off of each other, and you were just one of the highlights of that weekend. I loved getting to know you, so I'm so glad that you came today. Okay, but I want you to, I'm really glad you're here. I want you to
so glad I'm here with you.
I know. Okay. One of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show was because during the Speak Up conference, we got to talking about how funny it was, like the differences between Canadians and Americans. And so my kids are my daughter's in college, but my son went back to school this week, which we're in the middle of August now. So when does school start back for you guys?
We start back the first Tuesday of September, like right after Labor Day.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
And I am kind of mad about this, Americans, because we go later and you stop sooner. So we're like, as Canadians, we're finally on our summer break, but America drives the marketing and the campaigning of the world. And so they're singing, hey, great back to school deals, like as soon as we've stopped. So just so you know, I'm a little bitter about that.
I'm sorry. When do y'all get out of school?
July 1st was my first day off.
What?
Yes. I know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't realize that. See, this is why we had to talk, because you guys are in for a treat. Okay, hold on. I have a word I need you to say,
yes.
Okay? Hold on just a second.
Absolutely. Bring it. While you're waiting, I can show everybody the detailing on my shirt. It's a little bit kind of like Western, and I put that on for you.
You did? We're going to get to my outfit in a little while, but I have a feeling everybody's going to need to watch this episode on YouTube. Okay, I have a statement I need you to say out loud for us, and we're going to discuss this, okay? Okay. I need you to say these two words. Is it backwards for you?
No,
I don't know.
It's good. It's perfect.
Okay, how do you say that? No, say that one more time.
I'm sorry.
How'd you say that?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kristi.
The first time I heard her say, I'm sorry, I was like, she's not from Texas.
Yeah. Kristi, the second I heard you say, hot mess, y'all, I knew too. I knew where you were hailing from.
Okay.
Oh, I love it.
I love it too. Okay. All right. Tell me this. When did you come to know Jesus? Like, how old were you? What was that like for you?
Okay. I'm sorry. I just am responding to my son here who's...
She said, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. When did I come to know Jesus? So I grew up in a Christian home. My mom and my dad are the most beautiful people on the planet that you will ever meet. And interestingly enough, my mom actually grew up, she's French Canadian and comes from the province of Quebec, where mostly everyone speaks French. And she wanted to be a nun, very Catholic. And when my dad, who is Baptist background, and she got married, they had to kind of decide on a church, and my dad won out on that one. And so we went to church every Sunday, and I came to know Jesus, and thankfully have just been in love pretty much ever since. So
that's awesome.
That's my story to 8. Yeah, thank you.
We had some friends that we were in church and did a small group a long time ago with some people who had been missionaries in Canada. Okay. And so serious question, where they were, Christianity was not widely practiced where they were. And I think that they were somewhere in either Ontario, they were in that eastern half of Canada. Is Christianity, what are the primary or dominant religions there? Is there a strong body of Christ there, or is it?
I would definitely say that the religion that is predominant is no religion. It's very much, people want to be kind and believe in diversity, which I do too. But yeah, it definitely is at the point where if you are a Christian or you call yourself a Christian, you would be a very rare minority. And if you were like an evangelical Christian, that would be even more rare still. I think you're looked down upon if you are a church-goer, for sure.
Hold on a second. Hey, go.
Rufus. We are doing an interview, Rufy.
I call him Rufy too. Hey.
I know.
Go.
That was the head. I thought it was.
Yeah.
That was your son before.
No, he does think he is my child, though.
The tail is a giveaway.
Yes. And we have 2 dogs. The other one is just a really good dog. She doesn't bark. He's settling in for his nap. Can you see him? There he is. You can't see him?
Oh,
that's Rufus.
Now I can. Yes. Is your other dog little?
No, she's a German Shepherd. But she has a kennel over here, and she sleeps in the kennel while I work, and then that's his bed. This is what he thinks, that he should be in the chair all the time.
Fair.
All the time. Yes.
Right.
Okay, and I interrupted you, and I
do too. I'm Rufus. Of your dogs, I'm Rufus.
I am Rufus too.
I don't want to be in the kennel.
No.
J-Lo, he's your shepherd. Right?
Yes. J-Lo is very much organized, methodical, protective.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, where's the party? Let's go. Okay, I'm glad I asked you that question, because I really did. I thought that might be your answer. But then at the same time, it was an assumption I made. But where I am from, just differences in location. Almost everybody either goes to church, has a church. I would say it's very common, and it's very common for people to be like, so where do you go to church? That's just a common question where I live. And you don't
That
ask
is
that.
not, no, that's not like that here at all. If I was to ask somebody that, they would probably look at me like I had 5 heads. In fact, when I went to the conference, the first thing I did was stop for food before I even checked in. And I was sitting in Panera, and there were was I eavesdropping? Maybe a little, but there were 2 gentlemen behind us, and they were talking about Jesus. And I was just like, whoa, I love it here. It just was like, feels like home to me. Like it felt really good, because that, we at a restaurant will still bow our heads and pray together as a family. And we know that's just weird to every single other person. They're probably pointing their fingers at us and laughing until we, stop. But yeah, it's definitely not like that.
I think I take for granted how widely acceptable it is to be a believer where I live. It really is. Okay, so I'll tell the listeners, Kerri Lynne has a list. She is a phenomenal people reader. Apparently, that's one of her skills that she that doesn't pay the bills. I say I have skills that don't pay the bills. That's my joke.
May I interrupt for just a moment?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to get into something else besides teaching. There's a lot of politics. And then I took the test that my son took when he was graduating, and there's a million questions. And the only thing really I could qualify for is, as an approaching 50-year-old woman, is modeling and a dancer. And they haven't seen me seen me model or dance, but based on paper and pen, that's the only thing. Oh, and crossing guard. So those are my options. Yeah, I've got skills. You've got skills when your options are for yourself.
You also could be a stand-up comic. So there's that also.
No. Thank you, Kristi. Thank you.
Seriously, sister. So I could be a model with you. I could be a model and
rock that.
Maybe we should start like a crossing guard model wear, and we could
yes.
I
can't sew. I cannot sew. Can you?
Oh no, we just
outsource.
Okay. Yeah, I can't. My daughter sews buttons on for me. I don't. That's how domestically challenged I am.
My kids go to dad. They're like, you have a button that fell off. Like pretty much everything they go to dad for. Except can we have friends over then?
Okay. Have I told you this? Yes, you're the one. I do grocery shop. I can keep that. But I have this theory. Okay, you want to know my theory?
Yeah.
This just a secret, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. You hear the term domesticated housewife?
Yes.
If there's a domesticated housewife, that implies that there are also feral housewives.
Ooh, one must assume. And
that is high fives.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to take that for sure.
Okay. So if you move here to Texas, though, this podcast, these poor listeners, y'all, if you are listening to this, bless you, because this is truly how our conversations go. But so you have this theory. You say your claim to fame is that you have a 95% success rate of identifying the American in a crowd.
Yes.
If you are in Canada. So I would like the audience to understand how you have come to this conclusion.
Okay.
How do you go about this?
This is actually the first time I am sharing this publicly, because I like people to think I'm a genius, but it really boils down to some very minute details. And that is, first of all, I look at the shoes. Are they wearing ultra white tennis shoes? Sneaks. It's all in the sneaks. If they're ultra white, you did not hail from Canada. You are from the U.S. of A. Yeah, girl. Yes.
I am wearing my ultra white tennis shoes.
Right? Okay,
These are my Hokas. These are my walking shoes that my dogs they love these shoes because they know that it means we're going on a walk.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Americans, even if it's their walking shoes, if it's their tennis shoes, if it's I'm wearing with this cute dress shoes, They are always going to be ultra white. The laces too. In Canada, we just can't sustain that kind of maintenance for our shoes. So that's the first clue.
Why?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if we can't sustain it because we don't want to, probably. But like, we don't stick our shoes in the washing machine. We don't polish. Like, I don't even know if you can get polish anywhere. Can you get shoe polish in Texas?
Yeah, I haven't bought it since I was in high school and was shoe polishing cars. But yeah, I think
so maybe you just buy your shoes. I think there's just a higher priority on good-looking shoes. And then if it's a woman, her earrings, if she's wearing pearl studs, dead giveaway. I know every time. In fact, I went up to a woman on the beach. She was wearing her pearl studs, and I shouldn't do this because why? But I went up to her and I'm like, excuse me, I was just wondering, are you from the United States? Because I want to test my theory out. And I just feel happy when I'm right about stuff. And she's like, no, I'm not, like, I grew up here, but then she said, wait for it, but I've been living in the States for about 15 years now. And I'm like, there it is. There it is. And then, okay, and wait, and then the other thing is,
we have to tell the listener, I wore these today. I'm wearing my pearl earrings.
But Kristi, you've worn them in other podcasts because you are my podcast girl now. I've seen them.
I wear my pearl earrings all the time.
Right?
Oh, they go with everything. They go with sweatshirts. They go with everything. I'm wearing a sweatshirt today. And my pearls. It's how we dress things up. This is how we you're just wearing shorts and a sweatshirt?
Yes.
Put on pearls. It looks good. It looks like you put some effort into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And I'm just going to say this, honestly, Canadians, I'm sorry for speaking to all of you blankly, and maybe, feel free to say I'm wrong, Canadians who are listening, but I just would never, if I'm wearing shorts and a sweatshirt, I'm not looking to dress it up. The whole reason why I put it on is because I'm dressing down. But Americans, even when I would watch movies as a kid, I would see the girls get dressed up for the dance. And I'd be like, why are they doing that? It was mysterious. Americans just, I don't know if this sounds negative, but preening, is that a negative word? Or just maintaining themselves? I feel like there's more of or if there's a woman, especially at the beach, who has her hair and makeup done at the beach, you know that she's American, because Canadians are going swimming at the beach and they wouldn't bother doing their hair and makeup when it's just going to be ruined in 2 seconds anyway. There's a few indicators that I have that tell me that you're American before I've even spoken to you. Oh, another one, hairspray. Your hair doesn't move at the beach. And I'm like, how is that possible that their hair is not moving? Or even it's a windy day and they turn their heads. If you're on a boat cruises, not that I've been on an actual boat cruise, but the short term, going a ferry or whatever, then I'll be like, okay, that's the American, because their hair is still, and it's beautiful. Meanwhile, mine's, and the rest of my countrymen would be the same.
So you just wash your hair, get out and just go. You don't do anything with it. That's just natural.
No, I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying that it's because I'm going to be on a video today, this hair, it might not look done, but this is done for me. And so if there's a reason, if I'm going to a wedding, I'm going to do it. And generally for work, I'll do it. But it's just, I don't know. It's just there's a little subtle difference there. Maybe even in the style too. I think there's a lot more people straight parting in Canada than maybe the States are still clinging to the side part, which I like to don every so often too, but little things like that.
I'm you know what this is called? I had to get my kid out for school this morning. I didn't do my, honestly, I brushed my hair. I brushed my hair this morning. That's all I did.
Well, and I think Americans genuinely wake up looking good. In fact, I had a friend who went to school in the States, and she brought her American friend back, and her American friend was like, She didn't say this to me, but my friend told me what she said when they got back to the States. And her friend, who didn't have very high self-esteem, she was like, even I felt pretty in Canada.
That's so rude.
It's rude, but I get it. Like, you guys are, you know how to maintain yourselves, and you know how to bring out the best in yourselves appearance-wise. Like, you know, hey, I'm not looking as, you know, dressed up today. I'm going to throw my brows on so I can still deliver in the looks department. And I like, that's to be recommended. It's just a different philosophy here, I think.
But see, in the South, and now I come from the South, okay? Like, I was born in Texas, raised, I've never lived anywhere but Texas. And in the South, I would say, now I don't think this is necessarily everywhere, but we have an immense amount. I think that culturally here, there's a lot of pressure for us to look like we've got it all together. Like, look. And I mean, like, you don't go to the grocery store looking crappy. Now, I do sometimes, don't get me wrong. And when I go to the beach, I do not do my hair. However, I do sometimes I put on, like, I'll put on makeup or foundation because it works better over my sunscreen. Does that make sense? So I'm a sunscreen girl. I love me some sunscreen. Like, we have to, because the sun is. So that's why I put sometimes, like, but I don't go out with a full face of makeup, but I feel better whenever I know I'm not frying my skin. But we are definitely more culturally, I think culturally we care more about what people think of, oh, bless her heart, she must not be well. My friend that I'm referring to, she comes home because she grew up here, but she's now fully engrossed in the culture, and she will literally lick her finger and like tame my eyebrows when she comes to visit. And she'll be like, oh girl, we need to tighten those up. And I don't even think about it. And she's not being rude. It's just, in fact, that same friend, I went to go visit her, and we're at this cafe, Panera again. I must really enjoy it there. And I do. But there was this little girl who came to the table because my friend knew the little girl. And honestly, she was somewhere like 10, 11. And she looked like she was having an allergic reaction on her face. And I'm like, kind of like, the mom in me's like, oh my goodness, that little girl's having an allergic reaction. But the mom's there and Kim's there and she knows them. And so I just kept quiet. And then it turns out it's this little girl's birthday. And the reason why she's got a red face is because she's just had her eyebrows waxed for her birthday. And she's super stoked. And I'm like, oh, no. And Kim was laughing so hard at me because it's just, no, I can't fathom that. But maybe that's not the norm. I don't know. But it happened. It just happened to happen in the United States of America. So I will confess that I buy my eyebrow waxing. I buy them by the package. I don't pay for them one at a time. I buy them as an entire, like a year-long package. I'm not even kidding you.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I do. Okay.
Well, okay, I think that's great. You have beautiful eyebrows.
Yeah, they're kind of wild right now, actually. Y'all don't zoom in too closely. They're kind of everywhere. I think I think you're just more free. I think there's ways that you're more free, though. It's honestly, though, it's in some ways, this is exhausting. Can you see, do you know what I mean? Like feeling that pressure of, okay, I have to get up this morning. I need to pick out, I need to put my pearls on, and I need to, it's exhausting. And so, like, even doing this, so whenever I started doing the podcast, I just did it on like, I didn't do video. I've moved to video this summer and started doing videos. And every time I have to, like, record an episode, I'm like, okay, have I worn that shirt? Does my makeup look good? Does it look good on camera? But I think, Kerri Lynne, I think that we as women, we put pressure on ourselves that I don't think anybody else cares. There's got to be somewhere in y'all's culture, are there ways that y'all put pressure on yourselves that maybe we don't?
I'm sure that there are, Kristi, and I don't want to give the impression that women here don't care what they think about. Don't care what they look like, because I don't think that would be true either. I just think maybe there's a touch more of that happening. I mean, we like a body image, even, closer to 50, I still think about that all the time. And, when I was thinking about what to put on this morning, I definitely was like, oh, what am I going to wear? It was a question. But at the same time, like I was doing it 10 minutes before we started and going, I don't really know, so I'll throw this shirt on. So maybe there's a more of a, who cares philosophy. And I know there's stuff we've got going on here in Canada that I'm not even aware of. But I do think there's a lot more pressure on American women. I think you're right about that, to look great. And that comes across, if I'm being completely honest, even in nonfiction American writers who are writing about godliness and people that I may have turned to hoping to get some spiritual wisdom. But I read one she's quite famous in Christian circles, and she's a very well-known Christian speaker and author. And she was telling me when I was reading about, I don't even know what it was, but it was about getting closer to God. And part of it was like, you need to, when your husband comes home, make sure that he sees your best you and do your hair and your makeup so he doesn't see a frazzled mom at home when he comes home. And quite frankly, that turned me off of her and the books altogether, because I can't relate to that. And you know what? Maybe there is some truth to that and I need to be open to that. But I think it's hard to not permeate your whole philosophy into every part of your life. And so just to reiterate, I do think that there's a little bit more pressure that maybe the rest of the world doesn't feel to the same extent that you guys do.
Wow. There's freedom there.
I see it that way, for sure. Yeah. It's, like when I do my hair and makeup, it's because I just feel like it. You know what I mean? It's not because of any other reason.
I love that.
Anyway.
I don't know. That really does resonate for, I'm going to bet, a lot of women who hear that, especially in where I live. And I know I have people who listen in different parts of the world, but I think the freedom and not feeling pressure from what culture or society tells us. Yeah. I don't think it makes you any more Christian, whether you wear your pearl earrings and put on makeup, or if you're wearing yesterday's t-shirt and you haven't showered yet. It's life. It's life.
Yeah.
For you guys, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, again, I definitely think it's a universal thing. Even yesterday, my daughter is 12. And so there's like a tweenie early teen kind of Bible study group that my sister-in-law does. And my daughter just told me yesterday there was an African Canadian girl who was she's in our small town. And honestly, there's not a lot of that represented here. So I can't even imagine what that must be like. But the girl was telling the other girls, I'm really getting sick of people judging me for what I look like based on my skin. And this girl's gorgeous. And so another girl said, yeah, but if someone's ugly, it's hard not to judge them for that. And then the other girl's like, yeah. But that was very much small town, Huntsville, Canada kind of thing. We've still got that going on, and it's so sad, and it's true. And please don't think I'm up here on this righteous horse, because we all judge people on their appearance, and that's one of the things that we battle against every day. So it is finding that balance of, taking pride in who you are, and yet not worrying about what other people think of us, because ultimately God loves us so much, regardless of what we look. And we can say that till we're blue in the face, but if you don't believe that, it can be an entrapment for aesthetics, I think.
Yeah, it can. And I think just women as a whole, like, is self-consciousness. I don't know. Surely that doesn't stop at the American border.
No.
No. We had I think when we were in the same small group in our Speak Up conference, and you shared this story about a guy that was really unkind to you. in the what, 5th grade?
Yeah, it was in 6th grade.
6th grade.
And
okay.
yeah, he was very cute, and all the girls swoon worthy. And he ended up marrying the sibling of a very swoon worthy celebrity. So there you go. But he started calling me Big Ape. And I have been this tall pretty much since grade 5. I was an early bloomer, and yeah.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'8". So maybe I was like 5'6", 5'7", but I really, the pictures are humorous when you see me with my I do look like the mom. And
so I was like 5'8" in the 6th grade. I have been this tall. Yes.
Come on.
Yes,
I love that. You're the center back of every class photo known to man. Grade 8, there was one boy who caught up to me. David Seymour, I'm sorry I'm mentioning your name, but I mean, it was a big deal when you finally got taller to me. But yeah, it was, kids can be mean for sure. But in the end, like, it just makes me feel so much closer to other women who struggle because, if we don't have these trials in our lives, then you can't relate to anyone and you can't really empathize or sympathize with those who are hurting.
I think our trouble, the things that we struggle with, that's the stuff that God gives us the ability to see in other people. That's how we're able to see problems and have passions. And without those things, we sure are living in a glass castle. Okay, question. If you could tell an American anything about Canadians, like if there's any kind of a misnomer or any advice or anything, if you could tell Americans anything, what would you, Christian believer, like as believers?
Oh, see, I already had an answer prepared beautifully, and then you put the Christian.
Okay, then tell me that. All right, tell me what you would have said.
What I would have said is, when you come, you must eat the poutine, but do not get it from a fast food chain and think that is poutine, because it's not, and you are deceived. You must go to the Quebec, Ontario border at the very least and have legit poutine, fresh cut fries, gravy with lots of, meat fat, and the curds have to be squeaky. Do you know what squeaky curds mean, Kristi?
Yes, I do. Yes, and the texture of that squeaky curd just grosses me out.
Baby, no, because you know what? You probably haven't had squeaky Quebec made cheese. So you got to try it.
I think the closest I've come to you're going to laugh at me. Do you need a good laugh?
Okay.
So I think the closest the closest I have probably come to authentic poutine is at like the Epcot in the Canadian Pavilion. At Epcot at Disney World.
No. It was probably
really
paid way more than I've ever paid for poutine, and it was. But you know what? I've never had it. So maybe Epcot does it up right.
They have all these festivals at Epcot. Have you ever been to Disney World? Have you done Disney World?
Yes.
We go every now and then, and I say every now and then. We love Disney World. Anyways, but they have this food and wine festival, and like you can go around and try things, these like little like small sample size things from booths all over the world. And so they had poutine in Canada whenever I was there. And so that's probably my only experience with poutine. It was really good, except that I didn't like the squeaky curds. So it did have squeaky curds, but it was like, I was like, hold on, when you eat it, it's in your mouth.
Yes. Oh, girl, no, I don't drink wine, but I think it's probably like drinking wine, where you have to develop a taste for the texture. You cannot give up on poutine. The 1,700 calories that you got into your body with that one bite is so worth you trying it again.
Okay. It's for science, so I'm down. It's definitely for science, sister.
That's what this podcast is all about. I mean, I'm all about
it is. It's about Jesus and poutine. Who knew?
Okay, so let's go back to your original question that I need to rethink. Can you please ask me that again?
Okay, so if you were going to give from a spiritual standpoint, okay?
Yeah.
if there's anything you would say to a believer from America, maybe a woman that, maybe, a woman from Texas who has a podcast and needs all the help she can get, what would you say to a believer? Yeah, she finally caught it. She's blonde, y'all. If you can't see her, she's blonde, and she just hit her microphone.
I'm very blonde.
If anybody who has either experienced something you have experienced, you've lived a lot of life, what would you say to somebody?
Not that much. Not that much. You know what? I would say the same, considering what we've been talking about this morning. I would say just the same thing to any woman, any young woman. Really is the effort and thought process that we put into, and the money that we put into caring for ourselves, is it really worth it? And I can already hear some people, my friend, be like, heck yeah, it's worth it. And you can't break a system by saying one comment, but we are part of a Christian sisterhood that is like off the charts amazing. And you are loved, like not just by the Father, but by your sisters around the globe. And we love you, and you pray for us because there's, bondages we need to break. And I will pray for you because every country has, I think, a little bit of a unique kind of bondage based into what's ingrained into culture. But I don't even know if I answered that, but
no, I think you did actually more profoundly than you realize, because you're right. And I think women would do well to not compete. We need to have each other's backs. How do we link arms, and how do we go take the message of Christ across the globe? And how do we help each other? Because there's a world that's hurting. And you saying that about how we probably have cultural differences between us, but it's still, we still have the same, we still struggle. We still have struggles with our families. We still have struggles within ourselves. The bondage that you just spoke of, we could probably talk another episode or two about that, because in fact we might need to, because it's a real thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's my heart for this. If I could just help one person not feel trapped by shame, or not feel trapped by what happened to them or the struggles that they endured, then every bit of this and all the stupid technology stuff that I'm not good at, every bit of the effort is worth it. So
I agree. Yeah.
And that's why God has us, everybody, every one of us, in a different place, because he needs us all around the world.
Mm-hmm. When you realize that you're part of this bigger family who really does, we do feel sometimes alone. I do in my walk with Christ. Sometimes I feel, I have this book and I'm praying, but he's not talking, mouth to mouth, face to face conversation, but his hands and feet and mouth and personalities are in all of us. And we just need to be open to what it is that he wants to tell us, not just through our prayer and not just through our daily conversations that we have with him, but also through our sisters and our brothers in Christ.
Yeah, we could talk all day. You're amazing.
No, you are, girl.
No, you are. It's all you.
No, I love you. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. Nobody here at my house is going to tell me that, so thank you.
Nobody tells me that at my house either. They're more like, did you get milk at the grocery store?
Yeah.
That's what they say. I love you.
Yeah.
Like,
or can we eat something good tonight instead of another, healthy meal that took you 12 hours to make when you could have been down doing something fun? Anyway. I love you. I love you, kids. I love you, Kristi.
I love you too. I'm so glad we got the technology worked out to do this. Friend, I think that we should probably wrap this up today, just because, I am sure you probably have, moose to go back and look for. And, I have dirt I need to go sweep off of my front porch from the West Texas wind. And so we should probably go carry on with our days, but I sure am glad that you joined us today.
Thank you, Kristi. I'm so glad that you asked me. I'm honored that you did. And yeah, I've been listening to your podcast. They're so beautiful. You are such an amazing speaker. God has gifted you, girl.
Thank
you. Keep going on.
Thank you. That's kind of you.
You're welcome.
It's a work in progress. We're all a work in progress, aren't we?
Amen.
I'm something in progress. I'm a prayer in progress. Oh, friend, I adore you. You are welcome on here anytime. Yes. And for our listeners, I hope you have enjoyed and had a good laugh out of this. And just remember that as different as we all are, and no matter where this finds you or where you're listening from, that, we all have the same struggles. They may look different. They may sound different. We may talk differently, but inside there's the Holy Spirit within all of us. And it's beautiful to see how the Lord is not limited by where we live. He's not limited by our language and our culture. And I certainly I can't wait to see, some days I can't wait to see heaven, just because I know how it's going to be so beautiful to see that beautiful representation. Oh, that gets me, man. Anyways, I will not digress. I will let you go back to, moose hunting. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. And good Lord willing, I will see you next week.